I rest my chin on my hands as I absent-mindedly look out the window, yet another one of Muto's lectures droning on and on as if it were endless. The summer sky is almost alluring in its bright cerulean splendor, only the odd passing cloud breaks up the deep blue expanse. This feeling of longing is probably the outdoors side of me yearning to escape. Nakai, could you answer this? That side of me is lost to the past now, though. In that case, I think it would use the "an" suffix. Correct. Moving on to the suffix for... What? Wasn't our English teacher a woman? A faceless woman? He's our science teacher, right? Why are we learning English from Muto? I'm so confused. As my attention towards Muto slips once again, I spot Misha giving me an enthusiastic thumbs up. I nod at her to settle down. It's been a handful of days since Lily left for Scotland. Days which have passed relatively peacefully. Life largely continued as usual in contrast to what I'd expect, while thoughts of her have danced around the edges of my mind since she left. Present events managed to subdue them, at least for the time being. So I find myself idly chatting with Hanako, as usual, when lunchtime finally rolls by. Are the later ones in the series good as well? Not really. You're probably best off sticking to the original, as the later books don't live up to it, other than maybe God Emperor. Thanks, I wasn't really sure if... As Hanako steps to the side, I see Shizune stride up in her typically businesslike manner, flanked by her ever-present bright-haired shadow. Try as I might, I can't read any hint of intent from their faces. Shizune's poker face and Misha's seemingly boundless cheerfulness is a devilish combination. Morning, Shizune. Misha. Hi. I accentuate the greeting with a nod to Shizune in order to get the point across. She promptly and curtly returns the gesture to both of us. It's been a long while since I've really talked to either of them. For a while I thought they might be avoiding me, but I eventually came to the conclusion that Shizune really isn't the type to do so. Morning. Shi-chan says that Muto wants to see you sometime. Because of this statement, my face contorts as if I'd been eating spoiled food, giving Misha no end of amusement. Anyone would think you're in trouble. Anyone would think you were in trouble, He-chan. You may not be aware of it, but you have the least to worry about out of anyone in the class. What an unexpected vote of confidence, even when Hanako nods hesitantly to affirm the point. Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. There was something I wanted to ask you, though. And what might that be, He-chan? I have a feeling this won't go over well, but here goes. Is there any reason you and Lily don't get along? It seems like even a little civility would help you both in your duties. Shizune's cold stare after Misha happily signs the words stops me in my tracks. In hindsight, I really could have worded that better. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Hanako move back just a little. Thankfully, Shizune notices this and lets her temper dissipate as she forcefully runs her hand through her hair to let off steam. Perfectly on cue, Misha begins interpreting the second Shizune's arms begin to move. I would say that such matters aren't relevant to you, but since you seem to have befriended Lily... She pauses to adjust her glasses, evidently attempting to articulate her point in the best possible manner. Well, I assume the same of her. I cannot call my own views on the matter unbiased. Suffice to say, we were closer before than we are now. Shizune makes a quick gesture to Misha, stopping her from interpreting, then a quick meeting with her before proceeding. The fact that the two can communicate so easily yet so secretly right in front of us is slightly disconcerting. Hanako seemed to share my curiosity at the proceedings, looking on with thinly masked interest. As they finished their opaque conversation, Misha looks slightly deflated. I guess her opinion on the matter wasn't followed. Shi-chan says you should ask Lily about it, as if she doesn't want to be the one to get you involved. Oh well, I'll just have to ask her when she gets back. At least I got some information out of Shizune. The two having been on close terms means that they weren't always at each other's throats, or at least not quite to this extent. I understand. Thanks anyway. With a nod and a farewell, the two break away and walk out the door, no doubt headed straight for the student council room. Could have been worse, I suppose. Hanako lets out a long breath, relieved at the confrontation's resolution. Can't say I blame her. I'll see you later, though. Yeah, I'll meet you in the tea room. See ya. Hanako seems so much happier in this route than in her own. This is crazy. Is it because, like, we babied her in her route or something, and, like, she just wasn't comfortable with us? And, like, we weren't sure how we were comfortable with her? Like, I know that might have played into it, but it's just so weird seeing her, like, genuinely just normal. With that, she waves and joins the trickle of students leaving the classroom. Okay, can I speak with you for a moment? Delivered in his typical monotone manner, he apparently decided that I needed a reminder to see him today. Eventually, I finished packing up my things. By the time I reached his desk, the classroom is close to empty. Yes, sir? He looks up, taking measure of my face before giving an awkward, rather obviously acted chuckle. No need to feel guilty. You're not in any trouble. I just wanted to ask you something. I've asked a few other students so far. The science club? That's something, at least. For a moment, I thought my maximum of keeping my head down and pen up failed me. So what do you want to talk about? To start with, what do you think of your progress in this class so far? Good? Bad? I detest that kind of question. For a fair amount of time, I try to think of a response that is neither pathetically humble nor cocky. I'd say I'm doing okay. The work doesn't seem too hard. I'm doing better on the test than I thought I would. That's a good answer. Correct one, too. I give a mental sigh of relief at his satisfaction. To say that I don't gain a little pride from his comment would be a blatant lie. In the maelstrom of thoughts clouding my mind after learning that I'd be transferring to Yamaku, my school grade seemed to have utterly unimportant. Being entirely clueless as to what skill level would be assumed of me, once I actually got here, I was hugely relieved when I found out that I understood well enough the schoolwork we'd be doing. I know your circumstances might have thrown a wrench in the works, but have you given any thought to your future? My future? What you'd like to do as a profession? Do you have any thoughts on whether you'd be in 10 or 20 years' time? I would be surprised if you covered this ground in your previous school, but I don't have any record of it if you have. I suppose the last year of high school is the time when students would need to be thinking about such things. To be honest, I really haven't lent it much thought compared to my immediate situation. Catching on to my thinking, Muto speaks up. It's okay if you haven't decided on anything specific yet. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of your classmates were still undecided after all. Maybe pursue one of your talents. He's rather obviously trying to squeeze an answer out of me, and something about his previous wording makes me suspicious. He doesn't seem to be intent on asking everybody like this, so he must have some kind of selection criteria. At a guess, our grades in his class. Well, something in science might be the path of least resistance. His face brightens, no doubt pleased at the thought of a prize student following his subject as a career path. Good. Having a general idea is the first step. I would advise you to think on it, though. I will. Things are kind of settling down, which will help. Good to hear. Oh, and I've noticed that Ikazawa's attendance and grades have improved since you came to be friends. I'd like to thank you for that. I'm surprised you noticed we knew each other. He gives a chuckle as awkward as his smile. The guy really has no idea how to properly act around others. Every facial movement seems like an act of careful but misdirected choreography. You could say having a general idea of who knows whom is part of a teacher's job. Catching himself before he goes on a tangent, he loudly coughs into his hand. I'm sure you have things to do, though, so I'll stop there. Please do think about where you're headed from here, as you don't have long before you finish high school. I will, thanks. The brief talk is ended. I take my leave. He goes back to fussing with the teaching materials on his desk. This is one of the times I'm envious of Lily, almost maddeningly so. To have one's future so clear and so assured, yet working towards it from such a young age. It's an idea so utterly irreconcilable with my own thoughts, mirrored as in present day, just as they've always been. Yeah. Right? What? I don't know. Was that episode 3?